After an astonishing 28 fights in less than 2 years, a pace almost unheard of in modern boxing, Mike Tyson entered 1987, not as a rising contender, but as the reigning WBC heavyweight champion. Now, the hunted, not the hunter, Tyson's schedule slowed. Just 4 fights followed in 1987, but each one carried the weight of expectation. Every opponent was now a threat to the throne. The knockout machine was about to show he could defend his crown just as viciously as he chased it. March 7, 1987, fight number 29. Mike Tyson returned to the ring at the Las Vegas Hilton, defending his WBC heavyweight title against James Bonecrusher Smith in a unification bout. Just over 2 years into his professional career, Tyson was already the youngest heavyweight champion in history. Now, he looked to add the WBA belt to his growing collection. Smith, a 33-year-old veteran, had shocked the boxing world 3 months earlier by knocking out Tim Witherspoon in the first round to win the WBA title. Known for his raw power and experience, Smith was viewed as one of Tyson's most dangerous opponents to date. But once the fight began, it turned into a frustrating affair. Tyson pressed forward throughout, looking to unleash his trademark combinations. Smith, however, relied heavily on clinching and holding, repeatedly tying Tyson up to smother the action. Referee Mills Lane deducted points from Smith in rounds 2 and 8 for excessive holding. Despite the lack of fireworks, Tyson was in full control. He landed 191 punches to Smith's 51 and dictated the pace from start to finish. After 12 rounds, Tyson was awarded a unanimous decision with wide scores of 120 to 106 and 119 to 107 twice. With the win, Tyson unified the WBC and WBA heavyweight titles, a major milestone in his quest to become the undisputed champion of the world. May 30th, 1987, fight number 30. Mike Tyson stepped into the ring at the Las Vegas Hilton, defending his WBC and WBA heavyweight championships against former world champion Pinklon Thomas. At just 20 years old, Tyson was already a 2-belt title holder, and the boxing world was watching closely as he continued his meteoric rise toward undisputed status. Thomas, a tall and durable heavyweight with a strong jab and notable toughness, brought a 29-1 record into the bout. He had held the WBC title from 1984 to 1986, making one successful defense before losing the belt to Trevor Berbick, the same Berbick Tyson had demolished in 2 rounds just 6 months earlier. Thomas had never been stopped in his professional career, and many believed he would provide a real gauge of Tyson's ability to handle experienced, well-conditioned opponents. Coming into the fight, there was talk that Thomas had rediscovered his form in training, and was laser-focused on regaining a version of the heavyweight crown. He had switched trainers to the legendary Angelo Dundee, the man who guided Muhammad Ali through his iconic career, and was determined to re-establish himself at the top of the division. But standing across from him was a 20-year-old force of nature who hadn't just been beating opponents, he'd been annihilating them. From the opening bell, Tyson brought immediate pressure. He slipped Thomas's jab and drove home short, thudding shots to the body. His signature head movement made him a difficult target, and his combinations landed with terrifying speed and precision. Thomas tried to establish range with his jab and looked to tie Tyson up in the clinch, but the younger man was relentless, constantly cutting off the ring and forcing exchanges at close quarters. To Thomas's credit, he absorbed significant punishment through the early rounds. He kept his composure and showed flashes of his slick boxing ability, but it was clear the tide was against him. Tyson's power was taking its toll, and the former champ was slowly being broken down. Then came round 6. Tyson burst forward with sudden fury. He cornered Thomas near the ropes and unleashed a vicious 15-punch combination, a savage mix of hooks, uppercuts, and crosses, thrown at blinding speed. Thomas staggered, reeled, and finally crashed to the canvas. It was a spectacular assault, one of the most devastating single offensive sequences in Tyson's career. Thomas bravely tried to rise, but the damage was done. Referee Carlos Padilla didn't hesitate. He waved it off at exactly 2 minutes of the 6th round. Thomas lay on the canvas, eyes glazed, as the crowd erupted in appreciation of what they had just witnessed. Mike Tyson had done it again. It was his 27th knockout in just 30 professional fights. The win wasn't just another defense, it was a statement. Tyson hadn't just beaten a former champion with a chin of granite. He had broken him down, then finished him in spectacular fashion. The stoppage marked the first time Thomas had ever been knocked out, and it reinforced the growing sense that Tyson wasn't just the best heavyweight in the world. He might be one of the most destructive ever. By the end of the night, there was no doubt. Tyson was now marching into the summer of 1987 as the dominant force in boxing, closing in on the third piece of the heavyweight crown. The WBC and WBA belts were secured, only one remained, and Mike Tyson looked utterly unstoppable. August 1st, 1987, fight number 31. Just 2 months after his brutal sixth-round stoppage of Pinklon Thomas, Mike Tyson stepped into the ring once again, this time with history on the line. The opponent, unbeaten IBF heavyweight champion Tony Tucker. The venue, the Las Vegas Hilton. The stakes, all three major belts, the WBC, WBA, and IBF. For the first time since the days of Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight division would crown an undisputed champion. Tony Tucker was no ordinary challenger. At 6 feet 5 inches with a sharp jab, fast hands, and an undefeated record of 34-0, he was confident and fully aware of what was at stake. Just 3 months earlier, Tucker had claimed the vacant IBF title by stopping James "Buster" Douglas in the 10th round. Now, he was aiming to do what no man had even come close to doing: defeat Mike Tyson. Tyson, 21 years old and already holding the WBC and WBA belts, entered the fight with a perfect 30-0 record and 27 knockouts. He was the most feared man in the sport, a ferocious blend of speed, power, and aggression. But with the pressure of unifying the division on his shoulders, this would be his most significant challenge yet. The fight began with both fighters feeling each other out. Tyson pressed forward with his trademark aggression and combinations to the body. From the second round onward, he settled into a rhythm, slipping punches, closing the distance, and landing heavy hooks to the head and ribs. Tucker boxed well early, using his height and reach advantage to frustrate Tyson at times. But as the rounds wore on, Tyson's pressure began to break through. The challenger started holding more, clinching whenever Tyson got close. And though he showed impressive toughness, he simply couldn't match Tyson's work rate or power. By the championship rounds, the difference in output was clear. Tyson had taken control of the fight. He continued to throw combinations in bursts, forcing Tucker to fight off the back foot. Though Tucker remained upright, he wasn't doing enough to win rounds, and he was gradually being outworked by the younger, hungrier champion. After 12 hard-fought rounds, the judges returned a unanimous decision: 119 to 111, 118 to 113, 116 to 112, all in favor of Tyson. It was only the fourth time Tyson had gone the distance in his career, but the victory was no less significant. With the win, Mike Tyson became the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, unifying the WBC, WBA, and IBF titles. At just 21 years old, he was the youngest to ever achieve that feat in the heavyweight division, a record that still stands to this day. He had faced adversity, adjusted, and outpointed a skilled, undefeated opponent over 12 rounds. This wasn't just about knockouts anymore, it was about proving he could win in every way possible. Tyson stood at the top of the mountain, undisputed, unmatched, and still only just getting started. October 16th, 1987, fight number 32. 7 weeks after becoming the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson made the first defense of his unified title. His opponent was the undefeated Olympic gold medalist, Tyrell Biggs, a man who had long believed he was destined to beat Tyson. Biggs had won gold in the super heavyweight division at the 1984 Olympics and turned professional with high expectations. Tall, athletic, and technically sound, he had racked up a 15-0 record with 10 knockouts. But it wasn't just his record that brought intrigue, it was the backstory. Biggs had been vocal, even dismissive about Tyson for years. In fact, during their time on the Olympic team, the two had a frosty relationship, with Biggs reportedly mocking Tyson's style and doubting his future in the sport. Now, in 1987, their paths finally crossed in Atlantic City, with all the heavyweight marbles on the line. From the opening bell, it was clear Tyson had taken Biggs' past comments personally. Biggs started well, boxing from range behind a flicking jab, trying to stay on his toes and avoid Tyson's pressure. For a couple of rounds, he did exactly what he said he would: frustrate the champion, but Tyson was patient. He absorbed the movement, slipped the jab, and began chipping away with heavy body shots. Biggs' rhythm started to break. The jab slowed, the footwork dulled. Tyson had found his range, and Biggs began to feel the weight of every thudding combination. In the 5th round, Tyson opened up with a brutal left hook that snapped Biggs' head back. The crowd roared as the champion began stalking him relentlessly. Biggs tried to hold, tried to move, but there was nowhere to hide. By the 7th round, Tyson had broken him down completely. After battering Biggs into the ropes with a crushing combination, he landed another monstrous left hook that sent Biggs to the canvas. Bloodied and overwhelmed, Biggs rose to his feet, but Tyson swarmed again. Moments later, a final flurry prompted the referee to step in and wave it off. Tyson won by 7th round TKO, his 28th knockout in 32 fights. And in doing so, he delivered a brutal message. This was personal, and this was punishment. The aftermath was telling. Biggs' face was battered, his undefeated record gone, and his career would never truly recover. For Tyson, it was another emphatic chapter in his reign of destruction. A champion defending his crown with cold, calculated fury. He didn't just beat Biggs, he broke him. And the Tyson juggernaut rolled on.